thank you so much for being here. This is an audience of your fellow actors. I usually start by asking, how did you get your SAG card? But I think I might actually know your story.
Uh-oh.
No, well, actually, you tell it, because I was going to say, because I never remember these things.
In short, I was in Chicago doing a lot of theater, and I got cast in a an Andy Davis movie called Morgan Freeman and Keanu.
Yes.
Keanu was an engineer who could ride his motorcycle into his laboratory. Chain reaction, thank you.
Yes, this is the one.
And I had 2 scenes as his building super, which were cut out of the movie, but I got my SAG card.
I didn't know they were cut out.
I was totally worth it.
You still get paid, right?
I did get paid.
Yeah. But how did you take that? Because everyone's been cut out of something or fired from a job.
It was a bummer.
Yeah.
For sure. I was in a play or something that night, so I sent my good friend Pat Healy and my girlfriend Cecilia went to see it on my 2 tickets. And they came home and I said, "How was I?" And they said, "You weren't."
They didn't tell you were cut?
Yeah, that was it's kind of people still do that now, where they don't give you the courtesy of letting you know.
Wow.
And this was one of those times when it didn't occur to anybody.
Wow, that's incredible.
That my girlfriend might be there.
Well, again, thank you so much for being here, and congratulations on the dual nominations.
My pleasure. Thank you, and thank you all. Hope you don't go to sleep.
And honestly, just a fantastic body of work. You literally cannot be limited to any genre or medium or role. When people see you, what is it that they bring up the most? Is it still Ron Swanson? Is it The Last of Us?
You know what? I think, honestly, by now it's Making It.
No way!
Yeah, when I do, I mean, I am with people the most when I do book signings, which I've been doing a lot of recently. Good evening. And maybe, I mean, it was a woodworking book for kids, so that had something to do with it. But people really bring up Making It quite often, and it drives me crazy because NBC just kind of threw it. They just let it die on the vine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that and The Last of Us and Ron Swanson, I guess, are the main things.
Why are people discovering Making It now? Is it streaming?
I think I don't know. I mean, I think families really watched it with their kids, and so as part of an effort to keep kids off their phones and like to keep a household making things together that don't require an app or a subscription to Apple TV, with all due respect. I think so. People, then they respond to that very positively when they meet me and say, and it's funny, they pride themselves sometimes on saying, I've never had a television, but I loved making it on YouTube, or I made a canoe off your video or something like that.
That's amazing.
It's really nice.
We were here last night with Stephen Root, and people forget that Office Space was not a hit when it came out.
Oh, man.
It took 4 years.
That's where I discovered.
For people to discover it. Yeah.
I've been aspiring to Stephen Root since I saw that movie. God damn, he's incredible in that movie.
Well, and you're in his chair, as it turns out. Yes.
I thought there was a particular Musk.
So going back to the beginning, I believe you grew up in Illinois. Was there a moment that you sort of understood acting was a profession? It was a job you could do?
I did have a big epiphany moment. I grew up in a small town. I used to 50 miles and 50 years from Chicago. I went to high school, graduated in '88. So the mid '80s, I'm in high school, and I knew I wanted to be an actor or some kind of performer. But just no one in my town had ever gone into the arts, and my whole sphere was I was popular and smart, and I did well in sports and school, and I did the plays in school. But everyone, I said, I think I want to be an actor, and my whole world was like, yeah, I don't think you're thinking straight. Like, people don't do that from around here. And I was like, yeah, but I think that's really what I want to do. But I mean, we were so without culture or connection to the world that I had no outlet. Even my school librarian who could have said, well, let's look up acting schools in New York, or let's start somewhere. No one had a fucking clue. Like, and I was like, man, there's got to be some way. And I happened to be, I drove my girlfriend to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, where she was auditioning for the dance department. And I met these two theater students in the hallway, which I just saw one of them, David Coronado, a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my God, David Coronado?
Yeah. You know David Coronado?
Just from his work.
I'm not sure if it's the same David Coronado. Very nice guy. And he did play Hyman in As You Like It, the famous Linda Gates production.
Oh, I'm thinking of a writer, sorry.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Really sweet guy, but him and this...
There's two David Coronados. Who knew it?
I wish I could replay the conversation, which must have been something like, hey, kid, why are you loitering in this hallway of the Performing Arts Center?
Right.
And somehow, in a friendly way, we got to, what the fuck are you doing here? Yeah. And they said, we're theater students. And I was like, what do you mean? And they said, we're going to become actors. And I said, what the fuck do you mean? And they said, you can move to Chicago and get paid to be in plays. You can do that for a job. And that, you just could have knocked me over with a feather. Like,
Wow.
I went home and said, guess what, motherfuckers? You can get paid to be in plays in Chicago. And so that became my goal. And so I got into that school and made some smart friends who would let me build their sets and like eventually gave me parts in the plays.
Wow. What were some of the plays you did in high school? Like, what were you getting cast as?
Nothing good. There, a funny genre of like high school plays. One was called some sort of Pink Panther crime, and it was a play with all of the TV detectives were the cast. So it had
Sounds good.
Columbo and the Hardy Boys, like they were all in this play. It was terrific.
Who were you?
I can't remember.
I was going to go with Angela Lansbury, but
I honestly don't remember. And then, but then there was one from like the '60s called Up the Down Staircase.
Sure.
So I got to play a sort of James Dean ne'er-do-well called Joe Ferrone, I believe. So that was exciting for me. And we did Oklahoma, we did Wizard of Oz, but generally pretty generic, safe stuff.
Yeah.
And I also played in the pit orchestra for some of the musicals. So, I wanted to be part of the show, but I didn't know yet
wow.
where my place was.
How long did it take you to get into that college once you knew this was an opportunity?
I was a junior. She was a senior when she was auditioning. So then, I don't know, probably a few months, I figured out how to... It was a state school, so I figured out that I could, apply. I could get a scholarship through a certain avenue. And so it took a few months. I figured out it was my first audition, and my school librarian, who also just saw our musical in Chicago, wonderful lady named Miss Kinsella, she helped me create my first audition of two contrasting pieces. She was a great lady. I'm very grateful to her. Complete moron. When it comes to choosing
Sure.
pieces for a monologue, including because one of them was a monologue from The Elephant Man, but nothing you would ever choose. It was it was the doctor listing all of the afflictions that Edward Merrick has. I remember the cauliflower ear being mentioned, and that was the good choice. The other monologue was a scene of dialogue from a play called Steam Bath that made Hector Elizondo a star on Broadway in like 1976 or something. Okay. And it's an allegory play in a Puerto Rican steam bath, and the guy running the steam bath is God, is in the allegory of the play, and it was a scene of dialogue between two of the characters. So I did a scene of two people just back and forth, talking to each other, and I had to write an essay, and I had to do like a meeting to declare, my character, and they took me. They took me.
Wow.
I think, in the theater, you have good-looking people and talented people, and then you need a couple guys to carry them on and off stage. And I think I've slipped into that niche.
And build the sets, apparently.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they teach any particular method or style there? What did you sort of learn? Or...
Sure. We had a book called Acting One by Robert Cohen.
A lot of former Cohen
Good evening.
students. Yeah.
Couple friends from that acting program.
Oh.
And so yes, it was a bare bones, which is the most boring thing in the world, I think, to hear actors talk about their technique. It involved tactics and, breaking down your scene and your objectives and your tactics. Mm-hmm. It was acting 101. It did me no good whatsoever. I was like, yeah, I get it, but I'm not cool enough to do it well. How can you teach me that? And they didn't have an answer for me.
I think you were fresh out of college in 1993 when you formed the Defiant Theater Company.
Yeah, we started in college.
Got an applause for Defiant.
That's right. We have the Ragsdales are here from Defiant
kidding.
Theater. Yeah.
Well, I looked
Luminaries.
and it said that asked for a description of the company. It said you were known for handling, this is what the internet says, perverse and controversial topics. Is that fair?
All right, yeah. We loved, Nick Cave and Charles Bush and irreverence and kabuki theater, and we could all do flips through the wall, and then we would recreate a Tex Avery cartoon. So we were
cool.
We were very chaotic and fun and intelligent, and we loved John Waters movies. So we had a lot of influences like that were countercultural, and we also were young, so we could just stay up all night,
Yeah.
Outsmarting all the normals, going to work and holding down society. But we were well regarded.
Yeah.
We were very innovative and very creative, and we really had a lot of fun. And for me, it was during those years in my mid-20s, in the mid-90s, when naturalism finally occurred to me. And they finally started giving me roles because they were good. They're good theater people, and they said, "I know you're the only guy in our company that could play this part, but you are not good. So we're going to go outside the company. There's this guy Dan Smith who's pretty good, and he really was good." And I was like, "Well, I can't in good conscience argue with you."
Isn't this your company?
Well, no, it's a collective.
Okay.
It's certainly not. I was not the leader by
Okay.
any stretch. No, I just ended up getting on TV eventually, and so people alter the algebra there. But no, we had brains that I was happy to serve, and my best friend Joe was kind of our best director, and he was the one that was like, we got to do what's best for the play. And so eventually he gave me the lead in a show when I was 25.
Which one?
It's called The Quarantine.
Oh.
Ragsdale was in it. We did foul things in front of my mother and father.
You mean perverse and controversial?
That's right.
Yes.
But it was a big deal. It was when I finally figured out. I mean, it sounds dumb and facile, but it really took me 7 years. I was very insecure. I figured out in hindsight about myself because felt like a rube. All my friends were so cool and knew all about David Lynch, and I was like, great. I only know 2 Beatles albums, and they weren't the good ones. And so when I would audition for things or try to do acting scenes, I would just try way too hard to be cooler than I perceived myself to be. And so I was just terrible. And then finally, it took me literally 7 years to be like, oh, right, just be cool and act like myself.
I actually had heard of Defiant because I believe you guys did an adaptation of Apt Pupil, Stephen King.
That's right.
I don't know if you were involved with that.
I was the technical director. Oh, I was in it.
You were?
I was. Was I Rubber Ed French? I was Rubber Ed French. Is that who Schwimmer played in the movie? Yeah.
Oh, you were the guidance counselor.
That's right.
Oh, okay. My other guess was the hobo he puts in the oven. Like, those are the only parts I can remember.
That's right. My scenes were forgettable, but we were on like the third floor of this building, and I borrowed a turntable from another theater company, and we had to carry it up like a staircase in pie-shaped platform pieces, and we couldn't afford a motor, so we had to push it by hand.
I love this.
Which was pretty easy because we were strong, but then the scene with like 16 naked people of a Jewish persuasion in a nightmare gas chamber sequence, then it became really hard to turn the turntable by hand with a lot of naked people. Like,
yeah.
We had a lot of fun in that.
So you're running between doing the role and then running down and turning the table.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it. That's the spirit of theater. You started working with companies like Steppenwolf and I think Goodman and Wisdom Bridge. Do you have both as I believe a carpenter and an actor?
Yeah, I mean, I was first trying to get cast, and I hadn't learned naturalism yet, and so while I was sort of waiting for that to kick in, I was generally working in plays at night because I was kind of always in a show, but I would just be in a small chorus part. I was getting hired to be like the fight captain or do other utility services for the show besides be good at acting. And so I worked as a makeup artist. I built props and did fight choreography. And so during the day, I was part of a 3 or 4 person group where we just made our living building scenery and making like an actual wage, which was incredible because we made so much more than I ever would have full-time as an actor. And so I was able to kind of mix those things together. And again, I was just young enough to burn the candle at both ends. And it was really fun. I was fully prepared to have a really satisfying life making theater in Chicago in one way or another.
That's kind of what I'm curious about, how you got pulled out of that. But also, is Chicago where you met Amy Poehler first?
We did meet,
Okay.
at his house. He lived with Matt Besser, who was in Upright Citizens Brigade, and I think he and Amy might have been dating at the time. And they had a big...
Why is that funny?
They would have these big parties.
You mean Matt and Amy, or
Matt and Amy.
Okay, got you off the hook.
And it was at a party there that I met Amy, and it was interesting because like it was a couple different actor groups that the guys represented that rented this sort of big house together. And I mean, they told us even then, like she explained, and the other comedy people there explained what they were there doing, and we had heard of Second City, but I mean, if you had told me there was a pipeline to Saturday Night Live, I would have really sat up and paid attention because that would have, especially with no recourse out of my town. If you said, "There's this place, you ever heard of John Belushi?" You know, I would have been like, "Yes, I'm listening." But even when they explained it to us, I could not. I was like, "So you're making shit up in a bar?" We perform works of literature on the boards. So good luck with that to you funny people. And it was really funny because we all really liked each other and were friendly, but just apparently had no interest whatsoever in them seeing our plays or us seeing their comedy. Yeah.
That is.
And then years later, I was like, wait a second, this is what, oh shit. And while we were there, Carell was there, Stephen Colbert, Amy Sedaris, Tina Fey, like all these people were there.
By the way, side topic, I just realized you've never hosted Saturday Night Live.
I've not. Let me. Yeah, that's right.
You've been on it.
I have.
When your wife hosted.
That's right.
Yes. Is there someone we can write letters to, or have you spoken to them?
I don't know. I think I think I would probably need to join the NFL or win an Olympic medal.
Those are always the best hosts.
I don't know. That
Yeah.
definitely is a clearer path. It's a weird algorithm
It really
to get
is,
that
yeah.
gig, and it's funny. I mean, I'm very happy with my lot. It's gone a lot better than I ever thought it would. But I do. It does sting a little when people are like, "I just joined the 7-time club.
Oh, right.
Well, check out my helmet." I'm like, man, that's a
So-
lot of times.
So he's available, is what he's saying. Lauren Call. So you did start working in film and TV. You started booking roles. Was that locally in Chicago, or did you make the move to Los Angeles?
I did a few things in Chicago.
Chain Reaction.
Yeah, I did my first gig before I even finished college. There was a weird summer that I lived in Julie Greenberg's pantry, and I got on a show directed by Paris Barkley.
Yeah, how?
Yeah, called Angel Street. It was a woman buddy cop show, starring Robin Givens, former wife this tall of Mike Tyson, and Pamela something, a cool, tough butch lady. And I was a bad guy. My name was Randy Roush. That's a pull. And like they had to beat me up, and it was so exciting. I was on
Yeah.
a TV show in an alley in Chicago, and like I could have run away, but I said my tools, and I went back to get my toolbox, and that allowed them to like tackle me. But it was quite thrilling. So that was my first. I did like a Taft-Hartley.
Oh, sure. Did you bring your own tools? Is that
No.
part of why you booked it? Okay.
But no, I would have brought a lighter toolbox. I always played dumb guys. So I did that, and I did Chain Reaction. I did a movie that's really interesting. I think it was my first Sundance movie. It was '96, shot in Indianapolis, called Going All the Way, directed by Mark Pellington, with Ben Affleck, pre-Good Will Hunting, Rachel Weisz, Jeremy Davies, Amy Locane. Who's the wonderful actress who played Cinderella and was on Will and Grace? Leslie Ann Warren.
Oh, wow.
And I got this like supporting part, this antagonist part out of Chicago. And so that was my first time getting like per diem, which was wild. Like being a broke ass theater kid in Chicago, and you get an envelope with like $600 bills in it. Wow. And you're like, where do you buy fucking blow in Indianapolis? That's what the other guy said. Yes. And I was like, I don't know, man.
Wow, that's really cool.
It was pretty thrilling.
Did you make a choice to sort of move to Los Angeles to pursue this, or?
Well, they were very generous with me. Look, I never said I was smart. They were like, man, you make funny faces real good. You should move to L.A. Like you would do great in L.A. They were very supportive of me doing that. And I had a girlfriend at the time who we decided we were going to move to L.A. together. Then she flipped out. She was from Mexico, and she kind of disappeared. She just had a sort of a breakdown, and she moved home to Mexico. She decided she wanted to go back to her family, but everything was in motion, so I ended up moving there on my own, and it was really stupid. I just assumed that my vibrant theater life would be available or better because it's where all the actors and directors were. Like it never occurred to me that LA would suck for theater compared to Chicago. But it really did, and I didn't know enough people. And this is 1997. I got here right at the top of the year, and that was when you had to have something on VHS. That was like that. if you wanted an agent, if you a casting meeting, they're like, what do you have on tape? And to get something on tape, of course, you need an agent and so it was this vicious circle. So I spent a couple years drinking a lot, and I was lucky. I had a couple nice meetings. I got an agent. This agent called Progressive Artists, Bernie Corneole and Belle Zwerdling, and they had Kurtwood Smith,
Ooh.
me, Jeremy Renner, and Married with Children,
Ed O'Neill?
Katie Sagal.
Oh, Katie Sagal.
Yeah, so
Wow,
so
okay.
they had a couple people paying the rent.
Yeah.
And then us. But it was tough, and I really flailed. I did, because I am not cut out for a business where you need to go into a meeting and show them your X factor,
Yeah.
or like, what's up? You better sign me a deal now before I go over to Paramount. And I just have no flash or
Yeah.
game. So it took me a while to make any progress, and the only way I did was by doing plays.
Okay. I think you were doing a lot of stuff with the evidence room, I think.
Well, yeah. So at the end of the depression part, I said, you know what? I just need to do a play. Like I know that's not what is done here, but that's what I do. Like that's what I built my adulthood on. And so these great casting directors, Joy Dixon and Nicole Arbusto, hooked me up with an audition for this play at the evidence room, and I got the part, and the lead happened to be Megan Mullally, who had just finished the second season of Will and Grace. She was about to win her first Emmy, and then I was in a pretty good mood from then on out.
Although didn't she ghost you at first, or give you the wrong number or something?
She did give me the number to her fax machine. No, she didn't. No, it wasn't that direct. That's the number that was on the contact sheet for the cast, which used to be the move. If you were
Yes.
Megan Mullally, you would put your fax number or like your friend's number. So I left her a message, kind of asking her out on her fax machine, which she didn't get for a while. So I mean, in my own special way, my serpentine way,
Yes.
I made my way into her favors.
Wait, did you find out it was her fax number? Or did you just realize she never got the message? Or
I think I asked her, like, did you?
It was I saw a light blinking. I was like, what is that? I didn't even know it would take messages. I pushed some buttons and then mellifluous voice came.
Good evening.
And then I was like, oh, snap. Like, he probably thinks, because it was a couple weeks late.
Yeah.
And I apologized and I told him,
I mean,
no chance.
it's insane that she's very discerning and really
Yes.
good at picking things. And to this day, it's ridiculous that she allowed me into her home and has promised me and signed a contract that we will consummate our relationship
any day now.
when the stars are aligned.
There is something though. I think when your personal life is going well, sometimes things sort of pick up. I don't know if that's when you started booking or could be a
Well,
coincidence.
I started booking all right. Sure, 100%. That was when I learned the lesson, because up until that point, the worst thing you can be going into an audition is depending on the audition. Like,
Yes.
Jesus Christ, let me get this job because I'm 3 months behind on my rent or whatever. And of course, that you're bleeding desperation and you never get the job. And as soon as you're like, I don't give a shit how this goes because I'm going to go home and kiss a lady. Suddenly they're like, I like the spring in this guy's step. Like the cut of his jib.
And she's got her own fax machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. I mean, my life definitely turned around and became very positive. and because it didn't depend on how it was going as an actor, I became Mr. Megan Mullally, and I opened my wood shop and like was getting sporadic jobs on shows, but I was happy as a clam.
I mean, the Carpenter to Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy pipeline is a pretty big thing with you and Harrison Ford.
That's right.
In the same category this
Right.
year.
I hadn't put that together, but
But I remember seeing you in like, The West Wing, Gilmore Girls. I believe you kind of did a lot of great TV, The Practice and ER. And I think we've discussed this before, but those have to be such challenging roles to step in, to somebody else's family essentially, and try and make an impact, but also try not to be in the way.
yeah, it was scary for sure. Will and Grace was really scary because it was so tight. It was like such good, clean vaudeville. And I had the bones of that from my theater company, but like it was so fast, and you can't miss. And this is back 26 years ago. You would get fired at the table read for like sneezing. Like it was really scary, and making an entrance and like falling into the timing of a Jim Burrows sitcom was pretty intimidating. ER, West Wing, those were more Tommy Schlammys who liked me and had me on those shows, and they were also scary and very professional, but they were, I think, more coddling because it wasn't as fast of a thing. When I did The West Wing, my friend Rachel Singer, who came to our musical, she and I were the sidekicks of the main guy. There were three of us pitching this wolves-only highway to CJ. And the guy, whose name was also Nick, who had all the lines, didn't know his lines. And Rachel was also a Chicago theater actor. And we just sat there looking at each other. We both knew all of his fucking lines. So know your goddamn lines. Like we had one scene on The West Wing, and this guy was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and we're like, "No, if I can do it."
I was going to say, I thought this was going to be an All About Eve situation where you.
No, I've never had that. I've never been that grabby. I have very good parents.
Yeah.
And so like, if I'd be like, "Hey man, is there something somehow we can help you succeed? You got this, buddy." Idiot.
How were you? It sounds like you were enjoying auditioning more because you had other things going on in your life. But how were you at the actual execution of it? Because acting and auditioning are very different skills.
Yeah, I was never great. I don't think until I don't know. It's interesting. Like Megan taught me a lot. We've always had a real student-teacher relationship because she was like a decade ahead of me, and also just as a much more discerning person. Like she can craft a performance in a way that I still can't. I'm much more. I depend much more on luck in my readings, and so even when I started auditioning when we were together, she would say, "Oh, you're trying too hard," or like, less of this. Because I think still I always felt like I needed to be something way cooler than me. Even now, if it wasn't for her guidance, I'd be prone to go to an audition and be like, "I think this guy should maybe sound Norwegian."
Make a choice.
Because that'd be pretty fucking cool. And they'd be like, "Why is he doing what is it? I thought he was good." And so I really was not great at it. And it was interesting. Writers here and there would take a shine to me and like write me a part in their pilot. And it would be very exciting, but it would always be like a Christopher Lloyd or Rainn Wilson role, like a guy who lived out in the guest house. I was like, "Hey guys, I wouldn't take the subway today. Would you like to try my muffins?" That you were like, is he scary or funny? Like that was my wheelhouse. That I could handle.
Not a bad wheelhouse, by the way.
Anything. But there wasn't a lot of that. That's why I knew Rainn Wilson, because we both would audition against each other
Wow.
for like the weird guy in the basement. Like, hey guys, I checked out your mainframe and you had a virus. Should be cool now.
Did you ever have, any of those nightmare auditions where you just got something completely wrong or, were disrespected in the room?
I had one terrible audition where we were living in Seattle because Megan was doing Young Frankenstein that was going to go to Broadway.
Yeah.
So it opened out of town in Seattle. So we're going to New York, and my favorite playwright has always been Harold Pinter.
Oh, wow.
And they were doing his play, The Birthday Party, and Ian McShane was going to be in it. And we had become friends when I worked on Deadwood. He was really nice, and I loved him, and I loved that play. And I got all excited. And this was the last time. There have been only a few times. Like, I desperately tried to get into the Lord of the Rings movies.
Woo!
And wrote all these letters to Peter Jackson. And I did end up getting, like, no one ever saw the letters. But through the channels, I ended up going on tape for Gimli. And I also read for Wolverine when Hugh Jackman got the part. Which, by the way, here's a crazy story I only heard recently. Hugh Jackman was not cast.
Stu Gray Scott was.
You know that story?
Yes.
And it's actually a Mission Impossible story about how Mission Impossible will never let you leave.
Yes.
They're like, oh yeah, those are just insurance weeks. And then you get there and the crew is like, guess what? You're not going anyplace.
Yeah.
And Dougray Scott, great Canadian actor, was cast as Wolverine, and he lost the role because Mission Impossible wouldn't let him leave. Hugh Jackman started shooting it without ever having met the director in person, Bryan Singer. Crazy.
Isn't that wild?
I went on tape.
Does this tape exist somewhere? Because we need to find it.
I mean, I'm sure it's not worth watching.
Did you grow out the facial hair?
No, I was in Louisiana doing a movie that turned out pretty bad. It was with Campbell Scott and Jared Harris and Laura Linney called Lush. Really great script, and something went wrong between that and the screen. It was a really fun job. Anyway, I was very ambitious about this Harold Pinter play, and I got myself an audition, but I had to try really hard because it was before Parks and Rec. So I was this unknown guy was like, please, can I just audition for it? I'm telling you. And I flew myself to New York to audition for it. And I went into the waiting room it was like Telsey Casting. And just from the moment I walked in, they were like, oh, he's here. And I definitely was humble. I mean, there was nothing I would have done other than just be dogged, like, please see me. But they agreed to see me. Mm-hmm. They were such dicks to me. I went in there, and it was the director and a producer and the casting director, and I immediately was put off by the vibe in the room, and they were like, kind of rolling their eyes and ambivalent to me, and I was like, man, what the fuck? And they said, go ahead and start. And as I started the scene, the producer laid his head down, just laid his head down like he was going to take a nap or something. As I started, so I don't know how. I mean, I don't know what I did to befoul that stream.
Right.
But I just was. I made it through the scene. I was like, thank you so much. I'll expect your call. And I went to a bar and just got shit-faced. That was so painful. And I mean, I was clearly very clueless in some way. I don't know how to this day, but I don't know why they had to be so. They said I could come audition.
Right.
Why were they so mean to me? I don't know.
Did you ever audition for them again? Or?
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Because that's a big company in New York.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Went to see the production. It was not terrific.
Yes. Vindication. So I think it was 2009 you started your run as Ron Swanson.
I hope
on
they
Parks
see
and
this.
Recreation. Yeah. I was like,
It was medium at best.
I was gonna say, like,
The guy who'd played my role, by the way, who I found out had been cast the whole time.
you're kidding.
He was very muscular and hairless, and I'll leave it at that.
really.
You do the math.
Wow. Yeah, I was actually going to ask like if you went to the play and saw the person who got the role, and yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Gorgeous.
so then I'm
His pauses.
searching for those lines. But around this time, I think 2009, you booked.
Just utterly gravid pauses.
Do you think he didn't know the lines, or he was just milking it?
Oh no, he knew the lines.
Okay.
He was great. I'm sorry.
Well, he had job security. So around this time, you started on Parks and Recreation.
That's right.
Was that an audition? I actually don't know.
Wow. Yeah. It's an epic story in my head. I had. I can bullet point this for you. I auditioned to play Michael Scott with dozens of other guys.
Not the Ron Wilson role.
Right. He must have. I think they must have already had Rain because
Okay.
wouldn't they have seen me for Dwight? If you're gonna see me for some role on that show, but everybody read for everything on these shows. Allison Jones had her army of comedy people. I followed David Koechner, and it was in a bungalow at CBS Radford, and I went in with a guitar because in one of the audition scenes, Michael composed a song for Pam. So I auditioned for Michael Scott, did not get it. Then they read me for Pam's ex,
Roy,
David Denman.
Yeah.
Character. So I didn't get it. A few years in, we're loving. And Megan and I had said, like, I feel like if I'm ever going to make it, it's going to be in a show like this with a part like Rain, and I was friends with Rain. And Mike Schur wrote an episode that had Todd Packer, which was Koechner, and other regional managers, and I auditioned for it. He wanted me for it, and something clicked between. I was not aware at the time. Something clicked for Mike Schur with me in this audition, and he wanted me. I had told Gary Sinise, who I had worked with at Steppenwolf, that I would do this episode of CSI, NYPD, SV.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah. Is it?
Which, and I looked up to Gary as like a big brother, and I wasn't going to break my word that I told Gary I would be the fucking killer on his procedural. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm getting cast on The Office, and I have to pass on it because I told Gary I would do this show. So I did, and the universe rewarded me. Mike then wrote my name on a Post-it and put it on his computer monitor. And a few years later, when they created what became Parks and Rec, he said, I want this guy on the show. There's something about this guy. So they auditioned me for a role that became Mark Brendanowitz,
Yes.
who was and it was going to be a love interest for Rashida when it was created. And I went in, they had me come in and read these sides. He was called Josh. And we were so excited. I was like, read this writing. It's like, this is it. It's so sarcastic. It's like I can totally play this without being Norwegian. And I could really feel like this is it. It's happening. And I go in to audition, and it's me and Adam Scott. And we knew Adam and love Adam. When you're going in to read for Rashida's love interest, you don't want to fucking see Adam Scott sitting there. Hey, man, great to see you. Fuck. The cutest fucking otter on two legs. So guess what? Did not get that. So
But neither did he.
he didn't either. They put us on tape, showed him to NBC, and NBC said, quote, you told us Aaron fucking Eckhart, and you hand us Nick Offerman? That's the worst bait and switch. And so my manager called and said, it's not happening. And I was at the Big Five Sports on Wilshire and La Cienega. I was buying a jockstrap. And I said, "Can you hold this, please, ma'am? I got to go outside and finish this phone call." And I went out and stood by my car, and I was like, "There's no way. There's no way it's over. Like, this is it. Did you read this shit? Like, it's happening." And I went back in, and I was like completely floored. And by the time I finished and got back out to the car, they called back and said, "There's another part.
Oh, wow.
He's supposed to be 20 years older than you." I was 38 at the time. He's supposed to be like 60, and he's Amy's boss, and they want you to do it. But you have to read. And I was like, "Yeah, great." So I went in and read, and this is like, I don't know, the whole thing took 5 months. Wow. I went in and read, and of course NBC was like, "No, are you kidding?" We said no to the weird slow-talking guy. Which, by the way, I've been around NBC. I've been on 8 of their shows.
Yeah.
So they then proceeded to have to audition. Every guy and his brother auditioned for Ron Swanson. And I went to a UCB show and performed with a bunch of those guys, Matt Walsh and Jason Mantzoukas and Seth Morris, Ian Roberts, and everyone was like talking about pilot season, and they were like, "You know what the part is? Amy's boss." They all had stories about reading for it. And I was sitting there, and Mike had told me, like, "This is your part. Just be patient. We're gonna get this part." And I was like, I like left the room, emotionally, like I was on a soap opera. I can't tell them that it's my role, of which they speak, and so Amy had her baby. We were waiting on her to have her first son, I believe, the timing, if memory serves. So early in the year, she came to town from New York. They were getting ready to start, and so they winnowed it down and kept seeing people, and it got down to me and another actor. And I'll say it was Mike O'Malley.
Oh, wow.
Who I knew and admired, and again, you don't want to walk in and be like, "Son of a bitch."
Yeah.
Like, this guy is proven talent. He's beloved. He's been on sitcoms. And you're just like, fuck, he's great casting. Like, he's a great choice. And so it was just me and Mike. And thankfully, he got to have a great part in The Good Place. Otherwise, I would say just another actor. But since he's had some good fruition come from the Mike Schur world also. But so they had me and him, he and I both improvise with Amy. They shot us improvising, Ron and Leslie. And then like the next day, Mike called me to tell me that I got the job, and he said that they only turned in my tape at the end of the whole thing. And so I was like, "Listen, I'm going to openly sob here on the phone." I just caught myself right now, and I want to keep talking to you. I'm just going to cry while we talk. So it was pretty wild.
That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. Also, I just think there's like this alternate universe where Jason Mantzoukas is Ron Swanson and you're Wolverine?
Yeah, that's right. Or Dennis Feinstein, the perfume king of Pawnee.
Ron was, he was this manly, mustachioed, meat-loving, anti-government stoic who ironically worked for the government. And I do feel like in lesser hands and with lesser writers, that could have been like a very one-dimensional caricature. How did he sort of develop from the initial pilot? Did you know, like, going in that he would have 2 ex-wives named Tammy or have this love for the Grand Canyon?
No, I mean, everything that I've gotten to do was not my idea. I've gotten to do so many good things, and I didn't think of any of them. When we started that show, they had met a lady in Burbank who worked in the government, for the Parks Department, who was anti-government, who was a libertarian. And are you here? She could be here, or her kids could be here. And they just thought that was so funny, obviously. And they were like, we got to do this. So they had and that Ron loved Chuck E. Cheese. And he thought the parks should be privatized and run for a profit.
Yeah.
That was the inception of Ron Swanson. I came on. We'd said we decided to give him a mustache, and then they just started using attributes of me, but embroidering them in a way that was so much smarter and had so much more alchemy than I ever could have fathomed.
Wow.
You know? I know that if NBC called and said, all right, Offerman, here's your chance, like write your dream part, it would have been so stupid. I would have been like, all right, I got a motorcycle and a horse and a Jeep and that's Billy Jack. I would never be able to come up with what they did. But, you know, Megan and I talk about it like it's a wonderful game of back and forth where they put some crayons on the table and we're like, well, how about fuchsia? I bet you didn't see that coming. And it's a game between us and the writers where we play off each other. And somebody told me earlier today that I guess the writers have said early on there was that episode where I had a hernia and I didn't want anyone to know. And there was just this thing where there was a burger and Mike said, see if you can let's have a little game here. See if you can eat that burger even though you can't move because your back hurts so bad. And that became a comedy game where I was trying to make him laugh. And so that informs, then they're like, oh shit, like Offerman can take a punch or whatever. When they came up with the idea for Tammy too, Mike called and described the character to me and then trepidatiously said, do you think Megan would be interested in doing it? Because thinking she might take it, she might be offended or something.
Oh, really?
Because she's so, she's such a mean character.
Yeah. I love Tammy.
She's a trophy winner. And of course, Megan was like, "Oh fuck yeah! Please tell Mike, yes, I will be the most evil and sexy villain ever to appear on network television."
Worth getting cornrows for.
That's right.
I just think like that character was so locked in. Even it was season 3 where he unveiled his pyramid of greatness, which is, what did he call it? His calibrated recipe for maximum personal achievement.
That's right.
And it's so funny because that's a very popular poster.
It is.
Yeah, and so I was looking at it the other day. It says like friends 1 to 3 is sufficient, and that you should cultivate a manly musk.
That's right.
With BO. Yeah. That is like a best-selling poster on Amazon. And like actually some of those life philosophies are good ones.
They based it on the great coach from UCLA, John Wooten's. Oh. He has a pyramid of greatness or some sort of pyramid of success. And, they just took that and made it into comedy.
Wow. Skim milk is on there twice.
That's right.
Right, because don't do it, seriously.
Water that's lying about being milk.
I mean, how did that sort of, change not only your life, but your career? I imagine it seems like you really started getting some, great roles in film.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it really was crazy. Like I was very happy to get I was getting, what we call top of show guest star jobs on like a procedural. And man, I was thrilled. That was great in a lot of ways. And then when Parks and Rec happened, I just suddenly, they utilized my attributes in a way that just gave me a clout where I then became visible, where I had been. I joined a whole other echelon. And I went up layers, levels and levels, which was really wild. And it's still, I don't know, I feel like the whole time my sensei in college, what the best thing he ever said was always maintain the attitude of a student. And I still feel like I'm still leveling up inadvertently and I don't know how I'm doing it most of the time. So I keep minding my manners. I keep saying like, okay, I don't know how that happened. How the fuck did I get that part? I don't know, but I go make sure I know the whole crew's name, or just mind my manners and like think about my mom and dad and who I still have with me, and like just try and keep aspiring to their values, because the way my life changed after Parks and Rec was really astonishing. Like I said, when I was just Mr. Mullally, I couldn't believe the peaks that I was like, this is wilder than anything I could have imagined. And then these other things came along, and they still are, which that's another thing. Then I was like, well, usually if you have a sitcom part that's this effective, then you're done.
Yeah.
Like,
or get
no one
typecast.
wants to see Kramer play a lawyer.
Actually,
Actually, yeah.
lawyer
Bad
Kramer. I would
example,
watch.
yeah. Lawyer Kramer. We just sold it to Netflix.
Weirdly, NBC wants that.
Yeah.
They're giving it making its time slot.
Well, I had a whole speech that I would give to NBC because they would say that this in their breakdown of a role, they would say this is the Kramer of our show.
Ooh.
Back when I was auditioning. And so then I'd be weird, and they'd be like, that was pretty weird. I'd be like, you said it's the fucking Kramer of your show. How do you think you got Kramer? How do you think people felt about that guy, you know? And it's always that corporate fear of wanting something that they're comfortable with, but then Karen Walker comes along and they're like, we had the greatest idea.
Right. And I think Parks and Recreation is sort of where you've talked before about your no assholes policy.
Well, that was where I learned that it could be voiced, you know. I learned a lot about taking my own agency to be a leader in a cast. I had been a leader in a lot of ways in my life, but I always, and to this day, I'm so happy to have a general I have a shovel and I'm good at digging, and I need the general to plan the campaign and tell me where to dig, and I want them to love my hole. And
Oh, I want that on a shirt. Love my home.
But on Parks and Rec, seeing Amy and Mike Schur and Morgan Sackett and Dean Holland, the way they led us, and Greg Daniels, they led us in learning to collaborate and have fun and feel free to make mistakes, because we're shooting on digital now and not film, and so it's not as expensive. You can drop your line and just go back and start over, and nobody's going to yell at you. So cultivating that playfulness and safety was so informative. So from then on, you're like, oh, I never have to let anybody be an asshole again. You can just say, hey, we don't need to be like that. And I still hear stories about people being terrible assholes on sets. And it makes me really upset. Like, why does no one just say, hey, man, that's not cool? It's because our business is a business and not an art. And people that are making people money, they don't want to upset the money truck.
Didn't you say you like actually called and checked on people that you like, and you've turned down things because there were people that like you didn't want to work with?
I just sent an email to my agent that said they sent me an offer and I saw who the lead actor was, and I said, nothing with that person, please.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I don't want to work with a jerk, and I don't want to be in an atmosphere where a jerk is people are like, we know you're a piece of shit, but we're hoping to get rich off you.
Yeah.
So could everyone just be cool, with this crazy anti-vaxxer or whatever to make a hypothetical?
Who sprang to mind was Tom Hanks. I was like, who's the least likely person he could be talking about?
Yeah, no Hanks.
I mean, from the start, when you were doing film roles, it seems like from the outside you made this conscious effort to like sort of balance commercial projects like 21 Jump Street with these wonderful little independent films. The same year of 21 Jump Street smashed. A little indie film about alcoholism came out, and I just remember like being so impressed. I don't know if these were calculated decisions. Or
Yes, very carefully.
You had a chart.
No, I laughed because like I've just I don't get offered a lot of stuff. I mean,
Really?
I don't get offered a lot of stuff. My agents are very good at filtering out, but even so, I'm not getting. I'm not a hot property where I have just a bunch of stuff to choose from. But I almost always have something very interesting to choose, and that's what I really respond to. I do pass on a lot of stuff that's just conventional that 10 years ago or 20 years ago I would have killed for or would be a really good gig. Now I'm like, it's a heist movie that's somebody will have a lot of fun with this, but I find it uninspiring. And it's perfectly subjective. But so I'm never. I'm almost never like wrestling. Like, should I do this thing or this thing? It's really just mostly passing on stuff to try and maintain a healthy, full life at home. And then the things that I do take, I've sort of developed a thing where I say yes to things because I feel like I can't help but say yes to it.
Well, you've had really good luck with first-time directors. I was thinking Jordan Vogt Roberts with Kings of Summer, Lake Bell in a World, Dan Fogelman with his first project, Danny Collins, and more recently, I hope I don't butcher his name, but is it Christian Swagel?
Yeah.
With Sovereign?
Swagel.
I can't believe that does not feel like a first
Yeah, we showed
movie.
that in this room.
Oh, you're
We did a
kidding.
screening here.
This is a true story where you play Jerry Kane and an anti-government
That's right.
extremist and father who like just draws his son into this terrible tragedy. This is watching it. I remember just thinking it's such a delicate tone to get right, and to entrust a first-time direct with that. How did you know?
Well, my agent Josh Katz, UTA, is the one who said, "Hey, just read this. It's unlikely. It's crazy. I don't want to pitch it to you. Just read it." And by the way, if you leave with anything tonight, go watch Sovereign.
It's on Hulu.
The writing and directing and Jacob Tremblay in this movie.
And Dennis Quaid.
And Dennis Quaid.
You're good too.
Thank you.
Yes. But your character, I'm sorry, I know because it's more complicated than that, but like,
Sure.
It's very hard to.
It is. And it's tough because the trailer looks like an advertisement for January 6th or something, where you're just like, why would I watch? This is what I'm trying to escape by watching my entertainment. But I'm telling you, the way it's directed is so beautiful and moving. Christian, I mean, I read it and I just said, yeah, Josh, you're right. Like, I think I have to do this. It's a tiny budget. But it's just a beautiful piece, and it will forever be one of the best things I think I've ever gotten to do. I loved working on it with him, and I'm so proud of it. And I don't like to watch myself. Either we don't watch what we do at our house, or we watch it once. But like when I would watch Parks and Rec, or I'd watch Margo's Got Money Troubles, I will, thank you. Like, I never watch myself, and I'm like, yeah, fucking nailed that scene. There's always, like an athlete, I'm always like, oh man, a little more backhand, or like stand a little farther back in the box. I'm always adjusting my swing, or trying to see what to do better next time. And that's the best case scenario. The worst case is when you're like, oof, man, take it down a notch. Less Norwegian. But Sovereign, I saw 4 times, I think, in the theater, because and it had nothing to do with watching myself was fine. It was the movie.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And Jacob Tremblay, there's this scene towards the end that I can start crying just think about it.
I might know the scene you're talking about. Yeah. At the same time, that is a very you've found humanity in someone that was very hard to have any kind of empathy for. Was that hard for you, and was it a hard place to be? And it's because he's so volatile and so angry, and the way he treats his son is like, I'm not saying you justified it because you didn't, but he also does love his son.
Well, the like I say, that it's all in the script, and I have enjoyed, since Ron Swanson, one thing that's colored my choices and my career, as it were, is different shades of masculinity, I guess, or depictions of manliness or the lack thereof. And I do really enjoy trying to support. I mean, in that case, I was trying to humanize someone who might end up at January 6th. Like to say all these people aren't born racists or idiots or what have you. A lot of people are being fed bad information. They're the victims of predatory establishments like banks and insurance companies and mortgage lenders and so forth. And so, I felt like it could behoove us to say to humanize these people and say, how do people get like that, and can we address those root causes rather than just shake our fists at them and say, why did you kill those people at our Capitol? And so I am grateful when when I can add to the conversation about masculinity to counteract things that are being supported, in our popular culture or by our government.
This is just so interesting because these are two wildly different movies, but you played the president in Civil War, a third-term president.
That's right.
Yeah, who's dealing with succession issues, I guess. Did you come across the script for Sovereign after you had already shot that, or do you have like both these people kind of brewing in your head at the same time?
I think I probably would have been well done with Civil War when I read Sovereign. And it's interesting. I really love Alex Garland, and I love working with him. And I was, it's funny. I mean, I don't know. It was a pretty small part to play the president in his movie, but it's a very important part. He's very prevalent in the film, but I only shot the first day of production and the last day of production.
Oh, wow.
And so, but I never hesitated. Like Alex, when he's asked me to do something that wasn't a huge part, he's very apologetic, and he comes hat in hand. And I'm like, man, you want me to be the president in your movie? I would be happy with less than this, because I love the questions that his movies ask, and I'm very grateful to be a part of that. And that comes, so I think that's part of what has helped me continue to get work, the kind of work that I love, is bringing the work ethic from my theater days, where it's like, what's the show we're doing this time? Am I Hamlet, or am I Rosencrantz, or or what have you? Am I Donald Bain?
You got to play the president again in Death by Lightning. This
That's right.
time, yes. This is Chester A. Arthur. This is such a weird, funny, wonderful series. What did you know or think you knew about Chester A. Arthur going into this?
Jack shit.
Yeah.
The only thing I knew of that story was, vaguely what I remembered from the musical Assassins.
Yes, same.
About Charlie Guiteau.
Drew a crowd to his trial. Said I killed Garfield, I'll make no denial.
That's more than I remember, but Sondheim doesn't stick with me.
What?
Yeah, I'm much more of a Rodgers and Hammerstein guy.
Wow. Did you see the revised Oklahoma?
I did. Wow. And really loved that.
Yeah, it was powerful.
I don't have a sophisticated musical palate, although I'm a very big fan of music and musicals. But
You're doing a musical.
I am, but I sing one verse of one song, I believe. Spoiler alert. But I dance like a motherfucker.
We should talk about this, actually. Sorry to interrupt presidential talk, but because you said that your wife has been working on this since 2014?
That's right.
Wow.
So we're 2 days back from Chicago, where we just did a production of a brand new original musical called Ice Boy! ! It's so funny. It broke the Goodman Theater's ticket sales record by thousands.
Wow.
At the end of their 100th season. It's bananas. Every show packed to the rafters. It's so funny and stupid and wonderful, like Monty Python, Mel Brooks, Carol Burnett. Megan is the star. It has an incredible cast, incredible music. We're hoping that it'll go to New York late next year. But it was so fun. It was a few months of I just kept saying, this is what we've been trying to do the whole fucking time. We finally did it. We finally just made people laugh stupidly for 2 hours and 15 minutes. They were so happy.
And who do you play?
I play Eugene O'Neill.
Of course.
I'm the narrator of the piece. It's there's an unfortunate subtitle that is like the completely untrue story of how Eugene O'Neill came to write The Iceman Cometh. And so it's funny. It does exploit. My stuff is pretty deadpan, and it does purport that the crazy story of Megan's character Vera Vim. They find a Neanderthal boy frozen in ice, and she buys him. It's 1939. She buys him to put in her living room as an ornament, and hilarity ensues. She's the Broadway's greatest star.
Wow.
It was so much fun.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And not based on the existing IP or anything?
No, it was from the two script writers, came from titles like the Spelling Bee.
Oh.
And Mark Holman, who wrote the music, wrote Urinetown and won a Tony for the music for Urinetown. And it's just incredible. I can't wait for you all to see it. It's Megan Mullally's greatest superpower is musical theater.
That's so cool. I know. I saw her in Young Frankenstein. Yeah. And I saw the two of you together in Annapurna. Was that the last time you did a play out here in Los Angeles?
Is that I guess that's the last one we did. Yeah.
Wow. And that was a marathon. It was just a 2-person show.
It was a two-hander.
Yeah.
And it was long. I loved it. That was a lot of fun.
So I heard that when, I'm afraid I'm going to butcher Mike Makowski's name, who adapted the book Destiny of the Republic by Candace Millard into Death by Lightning, he had you in mind as Chester A. Arthur while he was writing it.
He did. I mean, when I got offered that, he was the second or third person to get in touch. And he said that when he was adapting it, he just could only think of me. I mean, he said he was only thinking of me, and that if I said no, he didn't think he would do it.
Wow, no pressure.
Which sounds like a nice thing to say to somebody until you realize it's like a fat, sinful hog. Like it's a sloppy, disgusting human being that he can't think of anyone else but me for. You have to be a special kind of actor to work that into a compliment.
Well, and also you had to wear these mutton chops.
Those were mine.
Those were yours.
Oh, yeah.
What? You went out in public like that?
That's right.
Did
that got a big eye roll from my bride, who, I'll speak on Megan's behalf. She has had to put up with every possible permutation. Yes. I don't get, you know what I don't get cast as? Good-looking people. I don't get cast as people you want to invite into your bedroom. And in fact, I did a play one time called Killers, where I was doing like a Bukowski, big beard, and like Larry Fine, long hair with a shaved top of male pattern baldness. And and also on Fargo, I had the chin strap, the C. Everett coupe. In both cases, I was excused from the bedroom for extended periods.
But I really fell in love with Chester A. Arthur. There's a scene with you and Michael Shannon, who, you obviously knew from theater,
That's right.
Chicago theater, where he's trying to resign. And Garfield won't let him, and it's and Arthur is so frustrated and just confused by this man. And it's hilarious and also like really sweet and touching.
It is. I mean, the Mikowski was like 31 when he wrote that thing. Piece of shit. So smart, and that's one. It's such a great scene, and Shannon was so great. I've known him forever. We've been looking for something to do together, and it kills me that we ended up playing American presidents together, because we were like we were the kids in Chicago theater that you would cast as villains.
Yeah,
like you would not have pegged us. Especially him. He was a skinny little alley rat. Mm-hmm. But he always had it. Everyone always wanted him in their show.
Yeah.
But I never would have pegged him as James Garfield.
Didn't you say, I don't know if you were joking or not, but I actually believe this to be true, that he was always kind of trying to stand in profile, like on a dollar bill, or like how you would see him on a coin?
That may have been a joke.
Okay. Because then I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I see it.
I mean, he definitely, it was an interesting, I think on behalf of the director, Matt Ross, I think it was cognizant that Shannon came up in casting and Matthew McFadden, who I can't say enough good about. He's the most fascinating actor I've ever watched in person. He does a thing where he electrifies himself in a way in every scene, so that you're just like desperate to know what he's thinking or doing. He couldn't be more lovely and just a wonderfully generous actor. But I just couldn't take my eyes off him. I loved working with him, and they had those two guys. And I think at first they might have switched the casting.
That's what I would have thought.
That would have been more conventional.
Yeah.
And I think Matt Ross had the idea to swap, which was pretty brilliant, I think, and really interesting. And I think it's criminal that that they're not winning awards for.
And Betty Gilpin.
For
that matter, who's fantastic.
And Bradley Whitford and Shea Wiggum. It's just incredible in the show.
Fantastic ensemble. But you weren't content with just being in one great series. You also joined Margo's Got Money Troubles, adapted by the great David E. Kelley from Rufy Thorpe's book. And in this, you play Jinx, a former professional wrestler and recovering addict who moves in with his daughter, who's just become a mother unexpectedly. This role, oh boy, this is another level. Were you familiar with the book prior to the series?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
I was in Budapest shooting Death by Lightning, and Megan had come to visit, and I got this offer that was like, it was like a joke. David E. Kelley, Apple TV, A24, shoots in Los Angeles.
Yes.
I'm like, this has got to be a prank. Elle Fanning, Michelle Pfeiffer, Nicole Kidman, former pro wrestler Dervilla Walsh from Bad Sisters. I mean, I just was like, you got to be kidding me. And we took this romantic weekend to Vienna. We drove to Vienna and listened to Elle read the audiobook. I mean, what a great pitch.
Wow,
and I just was like, this is insane. How did I get this part? How did I get this offer? So I was very thrilled and excited to get to do it.
Jinx he's such a unique character because he just breaks our heart. He's so broken himself, but he's really trying and he doesn't always succeed, but you just see him get back up and try again. Maybe that's the wrestler in him. Again, is that a hard place to be, though, emotionally? Because I know it's acting, but you are putting yourself through trauma.
I, you know, that's the beauty of David E. Kelly. The greatest thing about working with him is that after all the decades of great television he's created, he's still completely in it to win it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was still writing the show to a fault, where we had to, and Eva Anderson, he took on as a partner so that he had a cool, smart young woman to deal with all of the OnlyFans and all of the
right, yeah.
all the stuff that a middle-aged old white guy shouldn't perhaps be writing. And Eva brought on a couple playwrights named Keiko Green and Boo Killebrew. And so all of our writers, these scenes would have been really hard to achieve if they weren't beautifully written.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, they between the writing and getting to work to play off of Elle and these babies and Michelle, if I succeeded, I would have to blame the writer for giving me the right signposts to get there. But I mean, it just I was just in heaven. I've gotten to do so many things that I love and I'm really proud of, but it's been pretty rare that I've gotten to play sort of complicated, emotional, human just relationships with a character that we care about, like, how's he doing?
Yeah.
Usually, we're like, how's she doing? And then I come in and I'm like, where do you want this firewood? But so it's really gratifying and new. It makes me feel like a freshman and keeps me maintaining the attitude of a student, where I'm like, oh wow, like I can just sit here and feel these feelings, and the audience hopefully will get it.
I mean, the writing is fantastic, not to take anything away from it, but when I think of the things that I remember most is Jinx's expression watching his ex-wife, who he's still in love with, get married. Just a close-up on your face and everything that's going on there. When he realizes he's disappointed his daughter because he's relapsed. All these things that, like, I don't know how they're written in the script, but, like, what's going through your head in those moments?
I mean, that's I'll say pass. I think if I try to answer that, it's boring and reductive. If I got we had these two babies.
Oh.
And I love this about showbiz. There are two examples here. One is there's one episode of Parks and Rec where they had destroyed my mustache for some reason. They were always burning it off.
Yeah.
Or, once he rubbed off some from friction, apparently. But sometimes I would need to do a fake mustache. And early on, we destroyed my mustache, my real mustache, and it was before we knew the show was going to go and that the mustache was going to be a thing. And they had just purchased a makeup store mustache. And I forget, at some point I'll learn what episode it was, but the mustache they stuck on me is so bad. It's so different from my mustache. It's much thinner and like a different color, kind of wheat colored. And I saw it once. I saw a scene from it, and I was like, oh, my God. It's so insane that we are so accustomed in our sort of reading comprehension that we're just like, okay, mustache check. And we let
Right.
stuff like that go by. These two babies who are so incredible at playing Bodhi, my grandson in the show, one is a beautiful little girl named River, and one is a wonderful little man named Graham, who's the size of River and a half. And you can just switch between them with impunity, and they do not look alike. and you just are just like, oh, the baby.
Yeah.
And they were both so good, but Graham, we would stop these. We'd do these scenes where like Child Protective Services is there, and Elle and Michelle are there, and it's high drama. And first of all, Graham, 6 months old, he learned to act. This kid's going to be running the country. Like, they'd call action, and I'd be holding him, and he would look at Elle to see what to do, and then he'd be like. Whatever she was doing, Graham would act with her. And we would do the scene, and they'd call cut, and me and Elle and Michelle Pfeiffer would go, "Did you see that fucking baby?" He blew us away. He was so good. So, I mean, that's the answer to a lot of the questions.
Yeah.
I would look at, he would look at Elle, and then I would look at him and be like,
How fun was it to shoot the professional wrestling scenes where you have the mullet and the makeup and you're jumping off of, ladders?
This is a family program. I mean, I live for that. I love. It's so my shit to get to do. It's pirate shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, listen. Do you think you're gonna have to train with some real pirates? But then you're gonna swing on a rope and like land on the crow's nest and shoot your blunderbuss, and then have like a saber fight with some other Arabs, or whatever. I trained with a real wrestler named Chavo Guerrero, and our stunt guy John Epstein, with 4 or 5 other real pro wrestlers at a wrestling gym, and they taught me. And the thing is, I was a fight choreographer, and I could do a lot of good moves. I was pretty acrobatic when I was young. And so as we start training, I'm like, oh, what about one of these? And I would do just a shoulder roll, or I would do something to be like, look, I can move safely, and I have control of my body. You don't want to try and do a flip, and they're like, oh, never cut. This kid's crazy, and we're not insured for him. You start slow, and they let me work up to, and the thing is, everyone trusts each other. It's all safe. We do everything with the utmost of safety. So if I fall or if something goes amiss, there are always pads to fall on, or there's always somebody there to keep you safe. And that's one of the wonderful secrets about pro wrestling is they really do that for each other always. They don't use pads, but they do everything they can to keep each other safe, even as they're like slamming folding chairs over each other. They're doing it in a way that they can do it again tomorrow night in the next town. And so learning that, when I started, standing up on the top rope of a wrestling ring is hard. They're very jiggly, and like and I'm 56 now, and so at first when when I like felt the ropes and stuff, I was like, oh, I'm cool. Like I had a great stunt double, I was fine. And then as I trained, like a week in, I was like, well, let me just see what it's like to stand up there, and so we did it slowly and safely, and they were very good. Like, my wife would have been very happy to see how they were like, there's no reason to risk getting hurt here. So we did everything very safely. And I ended up getting to like fly off the top rope and take some dudes out. And it was so much fun. And because we trained so carefully and assiduously for weeks, I shot this for 2 days, all this wrestling stuff. I never had to go to the hospital. I never broke anything. Spent a good week feeling like I had been hit by a bus.
Really?
But it was just my connective tissue that was like, yo, man, I thought football was over a long time ago. But I was so happy. I was so exhausted. And we pulled it off. We made this wonderful stuff. And I did it right.
Yeah.
I didn't try to do too much. I was so happy. And I'm hoping that there's some kind of more wrestling in season 2.
You have a season 2? This is so great. We're almost out of time. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to step on the season 2 applause. we're almost out of time, but we have so many questions. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up your performance in The Last of Us, for which you won your first Emmy. I mean, there's so much to say, but basically, I'm curious, when you were shooting that, did you know you were making one of the greatest hours of television of all time?
I mean, we knew the script was really special. Like as soon as I got there to Calgary, I mean, they built that little subdivision from scratch. HBO, like it was Craig Mazin, you know, who had just done Chernobyl all by himself. Like he wrote and created that, and so we knew that if we didn't fuck it up, that it was going to be pretty powerful. Yeah. I did not. I couldn't have imagined. The impact was I never could have dreamed. Like third cousins that we hadn't heard from for 30 years were calling up like episode 3. Click. It's crazy.
I mean, and it was, I can't remember the last time I saw such an instantaneous reaction, because we don't really have appointment TV as much anymore. And it was like, I remember getting on the devil's social media that night and just everybody was like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, you know, hashtag Last of Us. And then, you know, unfortunately there's that thing where you're like, well, it can't be that good. And then you turn it on and you're just like sobbing for the next 24 hours. And your chemistry with Murray Bartlett as well, just absolutely insane. Did you what was it like the first time you saw it, with the music, with everything?
I mean, it's not. I never get blown away if I'm in it. It's so much more about making it. Like, if I never get to see it, that's okay. Like, because it's being there and making it that's what feels incredible, even when it turns out to be a stinker sometimes. Yeah. And so, I mean. You know, it was gratifying to watch, but it was too much of me. you know what I mean? Based on what I said before, I wasn't going to be like, kid, you did it. You know, you got the goods. But Murray, I got to say, and our director Peter Hoare. When I got offered the thing, we had kind of just finished seeing Murray's season 1 of The White Lotus.
Yes.
And so that was pretty crazy. Yeah. That they were like, here's the script, and it's with that fucking guy. Who, when I put him in my phone, it says Murray Bartlett shits in luggage. That's his nickname. And he really made that for me. Yeah. I mean, I suppose, you know, we made it for each other, but he was the perfect scene partner. He really took great care of me through that.
My favorite meme that came out of it was somebody said, you know, inside the Last of Us writer's room, and it was like, Joel needs a car. Great, let's write the most heartbreaking episode ever of television. So he can get a truck.
It was really baller on the part of Craig Mazin. Like that idea in this prestige show from this beloved juggernaut video game to go that far off piste and create this bottle episode of like, and why are we doing, what's it all about anyway?
Yeah, just fantastic. I do want to mention, so you're doing a second season. Go ahead.
I do have a joke that I don't write a lot of jokes, but
you wrote this.
I was very lucky because they needed a guy who could use a shovel. That's how I got the part. And there are only 3 of us in town. Harrison Ford passed and Jane Lynch was not available.
Amazing. So Margo, season 2, where can people like kind of follow along with the musical? See what's coming up next.
Great question.
Ice Boy, social media?
I suppose we're on Instagram, Ice Boy the Musical.
The musical? Yeah, this sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. It's so fun, and it's I think the greatest thing Megan's done, which is saying quite something. But it's the first time she's been the star of a musical, which is crazy. Yeah, when you see it, you're like, Jesus Christ, thank God you got here.
That's fantastic. I cannot wait.
It's really great.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a great audience.
Thank you to everyone who stayed through the whole thing.